that's the whole reason I have a harem, is because if I had one girl, I might get tired of her. I might want to switch. But when I have the harem, I'll never get tired of them. I just need to make sure I have enough to switch between. And then I'm willing to keep and take care of them forever.
What do you say to those people who say you're despicable and misogynistic because you said you train women? Are you a narcissist, Tony? Do you have any update on the death of your friend in your home? What's the story, everybody? Pete here from Thailand Times. Hope you're doing well out there. So it's been about 2 years since the first interview I did with retired lawyer and bodybuilder Tony Huge about his lifestyle in Pattaya, Thailand. And in that interview, Tony went into great detail about building and creating a harem, where Tony lives with a group of Thai and Filipina women in Pattaya. And in that interview as well, Tony went into detail about training women for his harem. And as you can imagine, the comment section exploded. So in this interview, Tony's going to talk about his lifestyle in Pattaya in 2024. He's going to talk about this harem that he's tried so hard to build. Has he been able to achieve his life goal? Then we're going to talk about the death of Tony's friend. So just over a year ago, Tony's friend was found dead in Tony's home in Pattaya. And at the time, murder hadn't been ruled out. A lot of people were pointing fingers. Fingers were pointed at Tony. So he's going to talk about that in this interview as well. We're also going to get into many other different topics. Tony's friend, Conor Murphy, gets brought up in the interview. He's done something very, let's say he's tried his own medical procedure that's gone wrong on one of his body parts, his male body part, and things have gone wrong. I mean, look, this is not the type of Tony and Conor Murphy. These guys are not the people that you meet on a day-to-day basis in life. So I'm sure you're going to have comments as well. Definitely put the comments in the comment section. I definitely want to read them, and I'm sure other people want to see what you have to say as well. So let's get straight into the interview, folks. Hope you enjoy it. Cheers. Tony, before this interview, I posted on the YouTube community tab on my channel. I asked people, I'm going to interview Tony Huge. Is there any questions that you want me to ask? And the number one question was, ask him about his harem. Okay, which is obviously an interesting topic for many people. So the last time we spoke, you were in the Philippines, in Manila. You were with a group of Thai women and Filipino women, I believe. Can you give us any updates? What's happened with this harem that you've been trying to create over in Thailand and the Philippines?
Yeah, the reason you were thinking Manila is because when we did the podcast, I was in Manila and I was traveling with a girl looking for another girl. Actually, that trip, I did meet another girl that became part of the harem. So that was a successful trip, except for it ended very strangely. But yeah, now I'm here in my house in Pattaya, and I've got Foxy here, Angel here, Werewolf, Nim, Baby Mama 2, and Baby Allie in a one household, living fairly peacefully. So I'd say a lot of men would think this was like a huge success. But it's not perfect, and it's still got a long ways to go, and there's a lot of ways I can upgrade it. And I still, to this point, every day, I think there's moments I think, wow, I really nailed it, every man's dream. And then there's other moments when I think this is a disaster and I need to just scratch everything and just start over from the drawing board.
What kind of drama have you had, Tony? Because didn't you at one stage have to split them? Wasn't there a fight or some kind of fight and you had to split people up?
Yeah, and I can't even keep track of which girls get along with which, because sometimes I'll try to put two together and then they'll remind me, oh no, we hate each other. I'm like, oh, when did that happen? Last week. Oh my God. Women are crazy how they just fight and then they're friends and then they fight and they're friends, and I can't keep track. So as it is right now, my two main girls that are capable of being harem queens, I put in two different households. So this house has Foxy as the harem queen. And then my other condo in the middle of, I'm in the south part of town in my house. The other condo I have in the middle of the action has Pau as my harem queen. And so two different households, both competing to build like Foxy's competing with Pau, which one can build the perfect harem for me as the harem queen, so that I'll spend more time at that household, which means I bring more resources to that household.
Is it a lot of drama, Tony? It seems like constant drama going on. You never seem to have what you're looking for.
Right. Well, I'd say most men are dealing with some level of drama, and their skills adjust to that level of drama. So I have an extreme high level of drama, but I also have developed an extreme high level of skill in dealing with the drama. So I'd say it's the same amount of challenge that I have as a man who's trying to get a lot out of a relationship with one woman, but it's like different levels to the game. And I'm on like level 100 playing a much more difficult game that's a lot riskier, that I'm much more leveraged for the benefits. Like there's a lot more leveraged benefits, but there's also a lot more leverage risk and a lot more that can go wrong. So I have to be constantly staying on my game. So I'd say the drawback is I can never be off my game because I'm so over leveraged with women that means that a small mistake can have catastrophic consequences. Whereas if you're in a relationship with one woman, a small mistake, it's not so leveraged. You can recover very quickly from it. And so that leaves me in a state of anxiety, worrying like, am I making the wrong move? Am I saying the wrong thing? Am I spending too much time with this girl or that girl? But again, it just means I have to increase my level of game. And if I just settled with one woman, maybe I wouldn't find it stimulating or challenging. You know, it's like kind of playing with one woman is like playing a video game on level 1 over and over and over again. And at some point, I think, try level 2, 3, 4 and challenge yourself a little bit more. I mean, it's not for everybody. Most people should just probably stay with the simple approach and focus on other parts of their life.
Is there extreme jealousy going on? Because I watched a couple of your videos and there always seems to be some kind of drama going on. And when you think about it, if you have all these people competing for one person, the attention of one person, it strikes me as a perfect recipe for jealousy, competition, arguments, etc.
There's a lot of jealousy, but that's not always a bad thing, because I think all women need some level of drama. And if you don't give it to them, they're going to create it. So I'm the one giving them basically the drama by putting them in this environment where they are jealous. And the jealousy also causes them to become more attracted in some ways, because they see me as the prize. They have to compete for my attention. And it's just up to me to reinforce positive reinforcement. Positive behavior gets rewarded with attention, and the negative behavior gets punished, but also doesn't get the type of attention that they want. So yes, there's jealousy, but that's just a factor that I have to work around and manipulate. And it's part of the game. It's part of the physics. Not always a bad thing, because it can also increase attraction through jealousy.
What is the end game for you? Is there an end game? 5-10 years down the road, are you still going to be searching for a perfect combination?
Well, I had Pau and Joy together, which was a perfect combination. The problem was it wasn't totally honest. And so it was a house of cards. I had Pau, who's 28, who's very like socially smart, very open-minded, bisexual, amazing social skills, amazing at picking up on other women and bringing them into the relationship, fun. And then I had Joy, who's 23, but looks even much younger. Like, I got a lot of heat from that. Everybody thought she looked like she was 16 because she looks very young. And she was just like the perfect girlfriend. Like, she was worth, I mean, I would have paid $1 million for her. That's how valuable she was to me. Like my perfect girl. But it turns out, and so we had 2-month relationship and everything was amazing. Perfect. But there was always one thing there was something always just a little bit off, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And later I found out it's because she's a lesbian. So she wanted this harem relationship for the lifestyle. She loved the lifestyle, but she wasn't truly in love, and she didn't have the capability of falling in love because she's a true lesbian. And so it was kind of scamming me in a way. And so unfortunately that didn't work out because of that. Now, if I had a girl like Joy, but who wasn't a lesbian, who actually did fall in love, and who was as cooperative and such a team player with Pau, I would be satisfied with that. Just the two girls perfectly getting along, best friends, not jealous of each other, working as a team to please me. It was my dream relationship. So I thought I had it, and then it fell apart. So now I'm back to square one.
How did you discover she was a lesbian?
I was so serious about her that Pau and I both went to Philippines for Christmas to meet with her family. to ask her family for a higher level of. By the way, Foxy's sitting right over here giving me the death stare. I wish you could see it, but I mean, sweetie, it's just it's all just for entertainment. Don't worry. Oh, she hates Joy. She hates Pow too. I mean, these are her rivals, right? She's competing for my attention, competing against them. But sweetie, the way you're looking at me is making me nervous. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Just stop that. Stop the death stare. Ugh. I know you hate when I talk about Joy and Pow. I know. I understand.
Go on, Tony. You're in mid sentence there. We want to hear what you're going to say.
Yeah, I went with Pow to. It's kind of like asking her parents for marriage, but it wasn't exactly that. It was like I wanted to talk to her parents and tell her parents I was very serious. Like I'm willing to buy in. Let's start talking dowry, to the parents in the Philippines. Okay, you want me to build? I was going to negotiate. Okay, you want me to build your family a house? Okay, I'll build you a house. I'll buy you a car. Like I'm willing to invest a lot of money into this. This Joy was worth $1 million to me, And I just wanted to make that clear so that I had the family support in going forward with the relationship, especially since this is not an ordinary relationship. I wanted to make sure the family and the friends were on board with it. But the problem is there was a lot of like weird things from Joy that didn't make sense. And so on Christmas Day, Pow told me, hey, instead of worrying about all these inconsistencies, Tony, just take action. Just show up at her house and surprise her and see what the real deal is like when you're not there, what's going on. So Pow and I went to the slums, and we're talking slums like you can't even, as a European, you can't even imagine how these people live. They're homeless people basically. Joy is basically homeless before. I didn't know that because she's just the most beautiful, perfect girl, and she reads a lot of books, so she learned a lot. She doesn't seem like she was a homeless person, but turns out she's a homeless person. And we found her shack in the homeless slum, and that was quite a dangerous adventure. And we surprised her at her door and found her with her lesbian girlfriend.
What was her reaction?
I think she was somewhat relieved, as in she'd been sort of lying to me for all this time. We'd been talking for 6 months, and we actually spent 2 months together in person. So like during this whole time, she's lying to me. And when I showed up at her door and I see what's really going on, it was like a weight off her shoulders, and she was acting more of herself. And I got to see who she really was when she's not acting. And shocking that she could keep this act up for months. And I think European and Western men can't fathom how good of an actress some of these girls can be, and how, even though they're so dumb at finances and business and anything else, they are so smart at scamming us men. That's their inherent skill. It's what they're trained to do. It's what their friends teach them to do. And they are highly skilled. They're like mercenaries, and to them, see, if they scam us out of a couple $1,000s, we think, oh, well, they wouldn't waste months of their time and energy on scamming us for a couple thousand. But a couple $1,000s to her in the homeless slum is a year salary. She got a year salary out of me, and now she's going to live with her lesbian girlfriend in the homeless slum for a year off of the small amount of money she scammed off of me. And so it was a huge victory for her. And I saw that in her eyes too. It was like a weight off her shoulder, and it was like a huge victory as well. And she wanted me to confront her lesbian girlfriend. Like she almost got off on it. Like me and her lesbian girlfriend competing for her gave her a feeling of like high status and being in high demand.
What did you say to her lesbian girlfriend?
Well, I didn't want to jump to conclusions that was the situation. So I had a long conversation with her lesbian girlfriend and just explaining like our relationship and everything that's going on. And the answers that were coming from the lesbian girlfriend were more like the answers from a Sith Lord handler, like a dark force, like a witch that was controlling this, because she was the 30-year-old experienced Philippine girl, and she knows how to scam people, right? And so she's teaching this 23-year-old who looks like a 16-year-old how to scam me. So I got to see that interaction, like, this is where it's coming from. So I think what happened was these girls were in a relationship, and they agreed that my girlfriend Joy would go on Tinder and find a boyfriend to pull resources into their relationship. like a foreign man to maybe hook up with once, and then like to get support so that she could support, you know, these girls in a lesbian relationship. And no man, and this probably happens a lot more than people realize, but no man would have figured this out, because I didn't even though she's living with me for 2 months, yeah, she's calling her friend on the phone every night, but she's saying it's her friend. I didn't know it was her lesbian girlfriend. I didn't know she was in love with her. I would never have suspected that, right? But there was feelings like she was cheating on me. There was signs. There was, I was getting a vibe like she was cheating on me, but she definitely was a virgin, and she definitely didn't have any other men. So I couldn't figure out, why does it feel like she's cheating on me emotionally, and yet she has no man in her life? And it was because she had a lesbian girlfriend.
Tony, can you explain the Rat to Fox project? Explain it for people who have no idea what it is.
Well, when I find these Asian girls, they're kind of like, as we in Western society would think, kind of like rats. They like live in the gutter. They're totally fine with living in filth, and they grew up very poor. I mean, to us, they're like rats. To them, it's like normal. It's just the normal low class society of these Asian cultures. But in my opinion, you're better off taking a woman that comes from nothing and building her on your values and your style than you are getting a girl that has been pre-programmed to be a decent girl, but not able to adapt and to learn our style as man. Like, I think the most important thing we find in a woman is her ability to adapt to us, so that it doesn't distract us as a man from our life mission and our work and things like that. But not every relationship has to be like that. That's just, I think, my approach. And I think the more successful, or the more business purpose as a man has, the more important that his significant other get on board with that and not have conflicting values to our life purpose and our life mission. So I pick these girls that are low, come from low society, but then I can, because like I can change all these things about them. I can teach them how to think more high class. I can teach them how to take a growth mindset instead of being a closed mindset, teach them how to be more open-minded, teach them how to learn, get them in physical shape, build muscle, burn fat, make them healthier, build their brain cells, just improve them and upgrade them in every way. So the idea is take a rat and turn her into a fox, which is what I did with Foxy. I mean, when I found Foxy, she's overweight, she's chubby, fat, alcoholic, no life direction, doesn't really have a growth mindset, kind of a fixed, closed-minded mindset. And I changed all of those things, and now she's an amazing girlfriend. Now she's like nearly perfect. She's much smarter. Her English is much better. She learns quickly. She wants to learn. She wants to be productive and constructive. She works out every day. She takes better care of her health. And she's like, before she had a lot of mental problems, and I wasn't sure if you could really fix women's mental problems, but we fixed like 70% of her mental problems also through biohacking and giving her a better environment. So yeah, I still believe, like, I think I'd say the rat to fox transformations are pretty successful, except for Joy. She came from the worst of the worst, like homeless slums. And that was such a big jump for her to come from that to try to come up to my level. I think it's too far. So I don't know if you can take a girl from like the actual gutter and bring her up, but you could take a girl from a poor farm family, for example, and I think you could turn her into, a spectacular woman.
Just describe, what did you actually do for Foxy? Like, because I saw a couple of videos where she's taking steroids, or she's taking some kind of steroid.
Yeah, on the bodybuilding, the muscle side, she's using SARMs, which are selective androgen receptor modulators, which are like steroids without the side effects. And women can take these in very small dosages, and they can build a lot of muscle with no side effects. And MK677, which is a growth hormone secretagogue. Take it oral, causes your body to produce a lot of growth hormone, makes you burn a lot of fat, recover faster from workouts, heal injuries, heal the skin, hair, everything, anti-aging. And so on the bodybuilding side, also, I'd say fat loss. So tirzepatide, an appetite suppressant injected once per week. One vial lasts 1 month, 25% of the vial injected once per week. And there's no appetite, no food cravings. And then she was still drinking a lot of alcohol. So more recently, we just cut out the alcohol completely, except for maybe one night per week. She's allowed to party and drink with me, but not allowed to party and drink without me anymore. Like there's a lot of rules and a lot of controls in place because every time I gave her a little bit of freedom, like, okay, you can go drink with your friends. She gets too drunk. It's a mess. She's hungover the next day. She gains a bunch of fat. She does destructive things. So, okay, I realize I have to keep tight control of her. She basically has no freedom anymore, but it's for the better because she's happier and she's losing fat, building muscle, and her brain's functioning much better.
But Tony, you just said no freedom, and is she okay with that?
Yeah, actually, I was shocked because I've never taken this approach with women before. I always give women lots of freedom. And now I realize it's always been a mistake. I should control everything with regard to women because they're not capable of making good decisions like I am. They're always going to make a worse decision than I would make for them. But I mean, I respect their desires and their goals, but it's like if they tell me their goal, I will tell them all the decisions that need to be made to get them to that goal. Otherwise, they're never going to reach their goals. They're just not capable of the discipline and the integrity to stick with a plan to reach their goals. So now, okay, she actually can reach her goals, and she likes that because she knows that my decisions I'm making for her are better, and she trusts that now because we have a lot of examples. Every time I gave her freedom, she made the wrong decision. And every time I control her, it ends up being the right decision. And the outcome is much better. And the result, like the way that her life improves and is much better. And she feels like by me controlling her means I love her. And if I didn't control her, that means I don't care about her. And that seems to be a common theme with these Thai girls because after I started controlling her, I went back around and started controlling my other girlfriends more, and they all responded positively to it, which is shocking because every single one of these girls told me when they first start to get to know me that the thing they loved about me is that I wasn't controlling. And they'd always tell me stories about how they hate their previous boyfriend and they left their previous boyfriend because he was controlling. And so I'm trying to reconcile this in my head also when they always say they hated the fact that their previous boyfriend was controlling. But here's the difference. The difference is I'm now controlling, but I'm keeping them on track towards their goals, not my goals for myself, but their goals. And I have to remind them of that because sometimes Foxy will be like, oh, why can't I go party with my friends? And I'll be like, because if you do, you're going to get drunk. You're going to regret it the next day. You're going to do something stupid and it's going to ruin all the progress. And then they'll be like, oh, I understand. And they'll say, thank you, Daddy. Thank you for controlling me. You're right.
Are there any potential risks with biohacking? Like, say, for instance, it all goes wrong and Foxy has some negative side effects. I saw one of your videos and you were talking about like the deep voice. You know, you're trying to use a certain kind of steroid to stop her having a deep voice. What happens if it goes wrong and something happens? Would you abandon her?
Well, I use chemistry that has very short half-lives. So if there's a negative side effect, we can stop and it's out of the system and the side effect doesn't continue. For example, with a deep voice, that's not something that happens overnight. That's something you can hear it happening and the voice will start cracking before it gets deeper. If you hear a crack in the girl's voice, okay, we need to stop all the chemistry completely. I'm just using that as an example. But there could be other side effects as well. But if we see a side effect, okay, we back off and switch the chemistry completely. But the way I use chemistry is in very small dosages. So even when you go to a doctor, they'll prescribe you like 50 milligrams of something, but I might take, or the girls might take like 15 milligrams. So we use the minimum effective dosage of this chemistry, which means a very low risk of side effects. And I'm very knowledgeable and experienced with the chemistry. So it's more like math to me. There's not so many unknowns and so many variables that I can't predict some of the outcomes or the possible outcomes. So I think based on my experience, I can choose the chemistry that's not likely to result in side effects. Would I abandon them? No. I mean, even they make huge mistakes, I still don't abandon them because I do have a very deep sense of loyalty to these girls. My intent is to build long-lasting, lifelong relationships with them. That's the whole reason I have a harem, is because if I had one girl, I might get tired of her. I might want to switch. But when I have the harem, I'll never get tired of them. I just need to make sure I have enough to switch between. And then I'm willing to keep and take care of them forever.
Tony, let's move it on to another topic. So roughly over a year ago now, a friend of yours that was living in your house named Leo died mysteriously. The internet blew up. Lots of people had different opinions on it. When we interviewed you last year, the autopsy report hadn't been released yet. Everything was up in the air. Nobody knew really what was going on. Some people said that he was murdered. Other people said that he, had slipped and fell. There was all sorts of theories going on. Do you have any update on the death of your friend in your home?
Nope. I think since that last interview, there's nothing new that's happened. Yeah.
Has the autopsy been released?
Yes.
And what was the cause of death?
Well, there's two parts to the autopsy. One is like cause of death, and that is just blunt force trauma to the head, which could be he got hit with a baseball bat, or it could be he slipped and fell in the bathroom. There's no difference in how the report is written. I think there was no weapon to be found. There's no like evidence of a certain type of object that hit him. Like there's no residue, there's no fingerprints, there's no DNA from anybody else, nothing. So the only logical explanation from the autopsy report is a slip and fall and he hit his head. Which if that's true, then it fits. I mean, that also fits in with my theory that he had like a manic episode in the bathroom and threw a tantrum because he sometimes would get angry like that and hit his head. Got up on the toilet, tried to get out the window because the door lock was broken. He couldn't get out of the door, this type of thing. So that's still the most likely cause. But also the toxicology report, I was surprised. He was taking, stimulants during the daytime in order to work really hard because he's obsessed with mental performance and he is very high productivity. And then he would have a hard time sleeping at night. So he'd take sleeping medications and back and forth. But actually the toxicology came back that he wasn't on any illegal drugs. So I really think it was just a manic episode independent of any kind of chemistry.
Are people still saying that you killed him?
I don't hear. I mean, every once in a while, a troll will come up on a live message or something and be like, "Oh, you did this, Leo, whatever." And I'm like, it's like, please, I welcome someone to challenge me on these things because nobody knows more than me, and I'm so open about it, right? So these are things that I'm not hiding anything. Like nobody's ever in this type of situation been as open and public about it as me, but I don't get enough credit for that. So then I did come across a guy that accused me of it in person. But then I was like, I gave him some of the facts because he was totally wrong about his facts. And then he just kind of like dismissed all the facts. And he's just like, oh yeah, well, whatever. Like he wanted to believe that there was some foul play, even despite the reason why he thought there was foul play being something that I easily contradicted with facts. So, it's just people like the drama. They like to create the gossip, but there's no substance behind any of the theories that there was foul play.
And have the police been in contact with you recently or over the last year about it all?
No.
So they're kind of happy to leave it as it is.
Yeah, when they first came to the scene and they did the full, all this forensics, they said at the time, they think that there's no foul play, that there's no evidence of someone else being involved. There's no weapon. There's especially no evidence of like a fight or anything. Like they checked his fingernails, they checked for him for bruising or anything of the rest of his body. And there's just no evidence of an actual fight. So it's like, how did someone sneak up behind him and hit him in the head in the bathroom when the door was locked? I don't know how it's possible,
Is your friend Conor Murphy still living with you?
Nobody's living nearby here in Pattaya.
Okay, I saw the video. He disfigured his penis.
Yes, he did. He was doing a penis growth protocol. He was filming a YouTube series, like a documentary on the background of why he wanted to grow his penis and, all the scientific data about how it's possible. And then he wore a penis stretching device that it grabs on the tip and then pulls it, and then you wrap it around your waist, and he left it wrapped around his waist all day. So
and what did he take the skin off his penis?
Most most likely the best way to describe it would be that it cut off circulation to part of the penis for so long that part of the penis died. And, of course it grows back over time, but it created some scar tissue. Yeah.
So he's got like a proper disfigured member.
Yeah, and he says that like over time it's getting like a little bit better, but it's and even he takes supplements to heal, but yeah, I think he just went a little bit too extreme with it. I mean, Conor, his superpower is he's able to handle a lot of discomfort. So if his penis was hurting while he's stretching it that long, he would suffer through it. But there's a reason why we feel pain. Pain is our body telling us to stop. And if his superpower is to, ignore pain, that can also be dangerous. And that's what happened.
Did he have a very small penis?
No, I think he had a pretty decent sized penis.
So why is he trying to get it bigger?
Because it's something that's sought after. Like people want to do that. And because he saw it as a challenge, because, some people say it's not possible, he wanted to prove them wrong. So it's kind of like more like proving people wrong that he could grow his penis,
Did you and him partake in a threesome?
No, I've watched him, with other girls, but I never actually participated. Yeah.
What if he asked you in the future, hey, Tony, come on in here? Would you do it?
Yeah. It depends on the girl and the situation, probably. His style is a little bit different than mine, but I think we could probably find some maneuvers that we're compatible with each other with. Yeah.
Do you not find all of this just mad, Tony? Like, here's like a guy who disfigured his penis trying to, like, by attaching something onto it and trying to grow it out longer. Do you just find that mad? Like, there's probably someone in America or Ireland or England watching this right now going like, what's going on, this conversation? Like, he did what to his penis? Like, what is going on?
Well, maybe a lot of people experience these type of things I'm talking about. Just not a lot of people talk about it publicly. But also I think it's good that even if this makes people uncomfortable or they never considered any of these topics, I think it's good to be exposed to them because it might pique some people's interest. Like they might like, oh, wow, maybe it is possible to grow my penis. Maybe I could try a penis enlargement protocol. And also it's educational, like cautionary, like don't try to grow your penis too hard, too fast, because, you could get injured.
Okay. All right, man. Let's talk about YouTube, okay? I've watched a couple of your videos to prepare for this interview, and I noticed in the comment section you don't usually comment, but you get a lot of comments, a lot of troll comments, a lot of positive feedback as well. Do you read all the comments? I'd imagine if you did read them, it would take a lot of time out of your day, but like, okay, let's focus on the negativity part. Do you read the comments, and do negative comments affect you?
Okay, so as far as how many comments I respond to, I do respond to a lot of comments. It's just that there's so many like Instagrams and TikToks and Facebooks and YouTube, like it's a lot of comments. So it comes in bursts. It's like sometimes I'll think, okay, today I'll respond to YouTube comments, and I'll go on there, I'll respond to like 25 comments, in a burst, right? So I do see a lot of comments, and if I don't see them right away, it's possible like 3 weeks later I'll come back and I'll handle a bunch of them at once. The negative comments, in the very beginning, I lived off them. I loved the negative comments because each negative comment was an opportunity that I got someone's attention who disagrees with me, and an opportunity to help them open up their mind and let them see the world through a different lens. And I did do that. I took the time on every negative comment to explain to people a different perspective. And I think I built my most powerful, long-term, loyal fans from that, because a lot of those initial people I responded to, I completely changed their life, saved their life, got them out of the matrix, whatever. But that takes time, and I've never met someone who I couldn't get out of the matrix if I spend enough time with them, but it's exhausting and it's draining. So I have to be careful who I spend that time on, who's got the most potential, who's worth it, who I can do the smallest amount of interference with their life and cause the biggest change. So it's like every time I read a hateful comment, it's like, I know I could help this person a lot, but it's also like, I don't have time. And then it's frustrating because I can help the most amount of people if I put out more content. But in order to change the way people think about things, I have to shock them first. It's something about the human psychology where if I just come in logically and just kind of walk you down a path, it's never going to get there. But if I shock someone and then they have an emotional response, and then they lose their footing a little bit because I shock them and then I present them with facts that are undeniable. It's the same way Andrew Tate does it, and he actually explains how he does it, but I just did it by intuition as a lawyer because I think I realized that if you try to like gently convince something of someone, it just takes too long. But if you shock them and you come in with a whole new belief system that's much better than their belief system, then you can really make a huge difference in their life faster.
But the negative comments don't affect you, do they? When you read them?
It's I feel annoyed a little bit because I want to put time into that, but I can't. It's the same feeling as if like you come into your house and it's a little bit messy and you know you could spend 10 minutes cleaning it up, but you don't have time because you got to be somewhere. And so you're just like a little bit annoyed that your house is messy. It's the same exact feeling.
But some of the comments are like literally saying the worst possible things about you. And imagine if I read them, I'd be like, what the hell's going on? Do you just go about your day as if that never even happened?
I file it in my head like, I hope someone brings this up on a podcast in a way that we can actually get in deep depth about it. Because it's easy to just say, like, let's see, one of the biggest criticisms is Tony Huge like is a pedophile. This is a common one because I have all these young Asian girlfriends. Well, that's something if someone's going to attack me on a podcast about that, I'd say, well, I mean, just to go through the example, I would say I'm not a pedophile because I'm actually not attracted to underage women. It's just that I am attracted to younger women than older women sexually, but not psychologically. And if I can have a 21-year-old girlfriend or a 35-year-old girlfriend, I would choose the 21-year-old girlfriend. And also, if they're younger but still of age, then I can program them with my value system, which is much better than their value system that they were raised with, as far as having a better life and thriving. So like, there's a lot of logical reasons why I'm like specifically trying to date women that are in their early 20s right now. And because I'm trying to find like a wife, so it's not like a sexual deviant that's attracted to young. And also the other factor is like, wow, I get so much heat about that. It's like, but do they even realize that a lot of the influencers that they follow are actual pedophiles, and that the politicians are, and that the most powerful people in the world are? And like, this is a whole other discussion. But nobody gives them heat, but they give me, the little guy, heat, where I'm like open and honest and actually showing it, and they're not even minors, So it's stuff like that if we got into detail, I would love to defend myself, but it's more like I would love to explain my perspective, because I think it's the same perspective that most men would have if they had as much experience as I had and they have as much freedom as I have.
Do you block and delete people from the channel?
Most of the influencers I know do that, and I didn't do that initially. But then I was talking to some influencers about like their success on YouTube, and they said like a critical component was blocking and deleting people. And I said, I don't know, that feels like censorship to me. And they said, yeah, but humans, like, they follow each other. So if someone leaves a negative comment, you're going to get a whole bunch of negative. Like, you have some people who are just very positive and some people that are very negative. And then you have most of the people just follow whatever the vibe is. So if you have people posting negative, you're going to have all these, like the 80% of the population that just follows the vibe, also swaying towards negativity. So you have to block and delete anything negative. Now, that's almost all the competitors in my niche do block and delete comments. I personally don't have time to delete a bunch of comments. And because of my background of taking the negative comments and then interacting with those people and turning them into super fans, and because I like the discussion, both negative and positive, I rarely block, I rarely delete. But sometimes there's like very aggressive threats. Like sometimes someone will threaten my daughters or something, which is like, how do you even come up with that as a way to attack someone? It's just so bizarre to me. or it's just like so negative that there's not even 1% value in the comment. It's purely hateful, and like so from someone who's got a mental illness. And so I have been blocking those ones more, but those are really mentally ill people. Those are not normal people. So I any normal person who expresses an opinion that disagrees with me, I would never want to block or delete. I want that dialogue. I want that back and forth and that opportunity to convince them of a different way of thinking.
One of your biggest critics is your uncle. He's probably going to comment on this video. He's probably watching it right now. He comments on all your videos, and every so often he'll pop up with another comment on old interviews that we've done. How do you feel about your uncle being your biggest critic and you haven't blocked him or deleted him yet?
Yeah, that's true. I didn't block or delete him. Even if I did, he would find a way because he does nothing except for sit on his computer all day thinking about what harassing comments to type. But it's just his favorite pastime. He's the ultimate troll, and he's, retired, and he can sit on his computer all day, and he just loves drama. And I don't know. It's like a personal challenge, I guess, to ignore him to some extent. And then on the other hand, sometimes he'll post a comment that I actually think is really funny. He is I don't think he's a good person, but he is a funny, interesting character sometimes.
Tony, our first ever interview has gotten over 500,000 views. It's constantly getting new viewership. And in that interview, you said you train women. And the number one comment in the comment section is, this guy's despicable. He trains women. What's going on here? Like, this guy says he trains women. Well, he's just a terrible human being. What do you say to those people who say you're despicable and misogynistic because you said you train women?
The people who think that I'm misogynistic for training women is, let me put it this way, because Andrew Tate already did the heavy lifting for me. All the stuff that Andrew Tate is saying and these other influencers that are now widely respected, and that, the young men generation are starting to follow this ideology more and be more successful for it and have a better life and better interactions with women for it. Like, I was doing that before all of these guys were doing it. I'm not the first red pill influencer, but I was just being honest about my experiences. And I think all men, given enough experience, enough dating, and experiencing enough women, are going to arrive at all of the same conclusions. So I think all of these men that think what I'm saying is misogynistic, they just don't have enough experience with women. And I think down the road, after they have a divorce or two, after they really get to see how women act when things go down, they're going to understand what women really are and what men really are, and they're all going to agree with me. So it's just like it's like me arguing with a child, and at some point you just have to say, all right, children, grow up, and then we'll have a conversation. I'll give you some tips. Yes, you need to train your women 100%. And you don't believe me? Okay, come talk to me in 10 years. If you're curious why, then we can talk about it. But like, when people shut it down completely, it's like, okay, maybe you need a little bit more life experience, and then you come back and then we have a conversation about it,
Are you a narcissist, Tony?
Well, a narcissist means, we should define the term better, but I think a narcissist is someone who doesn't have any values that are bigger than themselves. Like, their self is their values, and they will conform whatever their values are to themselves. But I believe, like, higher values. I'll put it this way. I've never met a woman that had higher values than me, more integrity than me. But I have met men who do, so I don't think a woman could ever call me a narcissist without admitting that they're more of a narcissist than me, which is funny because only women, usually it's mostly women that call me a narcissist, or let's say ex-girlfriends, or like not even ex-girlfriends. Baby mama calls me a narcissist every day. I just had to block her today because she's calling me a narcissist, because like, once I just let her disrespect me like that, the path it goes down, it just gets worse and worse. But like, I have very strong core values, and they are bigger than myself. It does mean I have to sacrifice myself a lot for them. And so I'm clearly not a narcissist. I mean, we could talk in more detail about it, but the bottom line is if you have values bigger than yourself and you're willing to sacrifice yourself for your bigger values, then clearly you're not a narcissist.
Tony, what's the future plan? What's the rest of 2024 hold for you?
I got a lot of business stuff going on, like protein pancakes is a big product that I'm trying to promote internationally. Delicious snack, healthy as a delicious snack could be. And those are selling really good. I went to Olympia in America and promoted those at the booth, sold out wholesale and retail and one day at the booth. So they're in high demand. So that's going really well. And then my battle is always to try to educate. I mean, we're talking a lot about harem stuff today, but my super skill is how to improve every facet of human life with biohacking, chemistry, supplements. So I need the supplements to build the harem for sure. I need the supplements to have this physique and with minimal effort as far as gym and diet. And so I continuously experiment on myself. And then I report those findings, teach other people. But the censorship is getting really extreme with artificial intelligence. Censorship is at a whole new level. It's more difficult now than ever to get information out. So I'm always trying to figure out how to put information out and get it to people without getting censored. And, and also I just have to be so careful what I say that people have to read between the lines, and I have to think very carefully, like, how can I present the information to get it across so it doesn't lose its meaning and also doesn't get censored. Yeah.
Yeah, because your YouTube channel has been deleted a couple of times.
Many times. Yeah.
And now like your views are, you start over again and your views are down again. You had a huge audience before, now the views are down. Must be very disheartening for that to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I should probably be around 1.5 million subscribers by now. If I never got deleted, I'd be like Huberman or Derek, More Plates, More Dates, or Greg Doucette, these bigger people in our biohacking industry, Dave Asprey, whatever. I'd be on the same level as all these guys. The only thing holding me back is the censorship. Some of it's my fault, of course, because I talk about things that are more likely to get censored, but a lot of it is that the mainstream media just doesn't want someone like me having that much influence.
Tony, thank you for coming on here and being candid. I'm sure there's going to be a response from people that are watching this right now, so put it down in the comment section, everybody. I'd love to read your comments. I'm sure Tony would love to read your comments. And then Tony, look, I appreciate it. We'll do it again down the line in the future. Perhaps in another year's time, we'll get another update on the life of Tony Huge. I'm sure there's going to be lots of stuff happening in the next year for yourself. Anyway, take care. Thanks very much.
All right. Good seeing you.